Two Chairs No Waiting, episode number 151. Betty Lynn. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you each week by the fine folks over at Weaver's Department Store. Drop by over at Weaver's and pick up some of your favorite Mayberry items. They got everything over there, including Rodney Dillard's new CD, Don't Wait for the Hearse to Take You to Church. It's a great song. Drop by over there and pick up a CD. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners like you. Thank you all for your support. And thank you to the Mayberry Band for their wonderful rendition of Stars and Stripes Forever. Folks, hey, man, it's so good to have you here tonight with me here in Mayberry. And this is going to be a fun episode, I hope. I hope you guys are going to enjoy yourself, because we're going to be talking about Betty Lynn tonight. Now, this episode, we're going to celebrate Betty Lynn's 85th birthday. Why, you may ask? Well, today, as we're recording this, is Monday, August 29th, 2011, which just happens to be Betty's 85th birthday. So I thought it'd be fitting to visit with Thelma Lou a little bit and say hey to her on this, her very special day. Well, the interview that we're going to be hearing is actually on YouTube. So you'll be able to go to YouTube. I'm going to have a link to the actual video, so you can go and watch it if you'd like to. And the interview is by a fellow named Charles. Doesn't say who Charles is, so I really don't know. So hopefully some of our listeners will be able to help me find out who Charles is, so I can give them the correct credit for the audio that you guys are going to be hearing. So I hope you're going to enjoy this. And this was filmed at Mayberry Days several years ago, so it's not recent. It's a few years old, but it's still a great interview with Betty, and I really, really think you're going to enjoy yourself. It's about 7 minutes long or so, something like that. So we'll get started on it in just a second here. But before we do, again, I just want to thank all you guys for coming. I want to thank y'all that have donated to the podcast. And if anybody would like to donate to the podcast to help offset some of the cost of the show, you can do so if you go to twochairsnowaiting.com. To our website, there's a donate button there, and you can donate whatever you want to donate. You know, I'll take anything, $5, $3, whatever you can afford. It just helps offset some of the cost of producing the show. So, but don't feel like you need to do that. But I just say that every week about the executive producers and donations from folks like you. And people have asked, how do they donate? So there it is. Now, on with the show. Let's go see this little story by Betty Lynn.
Well, here we are in Mount Airy, North Carolina. And next to me is Charlie, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And we've had a wonderful time. It's Mayberry Days. And people should really try to come and enjoy this. It's a beautiful little town where Andy Griffith was born and grew up. And it's like a valley with all the mountains around it, so it's protected. And it's so pretty, so green. Trees everywhere. I know when we were shooting Return to Mayberry in Los Olivos, California, I remember Andy's wife saying that the trees and everything, that it really looked like North Carolina. Well, at that time, I hadn't been to North Carolina yet, so you could have fooled me. I didn't know. But it is beautiful. And when you fly out of here, it's like green velvet under you wherever you look. If it's daylight. I mean, it's just beautiful. And you fly into L.A. and it's all tan. A little bit of green, and tan all day. At night, L.A.'s beautiful. It's like jewels. But daytime, it really shows you what it's like. But I love North Carolina. I truly do. And I hope everybody will come and visit and come to Mayberry Days once a year in September. And they should try to do that. And they used to invite me, but I didn't quite know what it all was. I thought, I don't know that I want to go someplace. And I was busy. But I finally did, and everyone started telling me Maggie Peterson Mancuso had been here, and she loved it, and she said, you should try to go, Betty. And I have just enjoyed it, and the people are so wonderful to me. and everybody's happy. Want to see a lot of happy people come to Mayberry Days. It's terrific.
Okay, tell us about the parade.
Well, the parade is great fun. It starts at 9 in the morning, and they have these great antique cars, and I sit on top of a little pink car. I don't even know what make it is, but it's adorable, in a bright strawberry pink, and it's beautiful, shiny, and they usually have a grand marshal that's some well-known person connected to the Andy Griffith Show, and I used to sit up on the very tip top of that little car, but it was a little scary sometimes because if they'd hit bumps and everything, I had nothing to hold on to. But this year they fixed it so I have a big platform to sit on, and so I'm up high enough I can wave and see everybody, but I'm not as frightened as I was before, that if they had hit a bump or put a brake on fast, I might have flown right out of the car. This way I was safer, and I had a great time, and people line up all over the streets. I don't know how far we go, but we have such wonderful crowds, and everybody's happy and waving and saying, Thelma Lou, Thelma Lou, taking pictures. It's terrific. Little kids, all ages. That little kid in all of us. It's wonderful. Yeah.
For the Andy Griffith Show.
I don't think it ever occurred to any of us. You know, we knew it was a wonderful show, and we loved doing it, but I don't think it ever occurred to us it would go on, or that at my age I'd have people thrilled to see me and wanting my autograph and everything. Never occurred to me in a million years, and I'm very grateful, truly grateful, to have been connected to a wonderful show that people love, and that it means a lot to them. Some people, their eyes filled up with tears when they see you, not because they are sad over me or anything, but because they're so thrilled about the show. It isn't me personally, you know, it's that show, and it is a great show.
Well, it is you personally too, because you were a part of what made the show so great. The people come to see you and to remember that great show.
They like Thelma Lou, it seems, pretty well, all right. And they loved Francis as Aunt Bee, and little Ronnie when he was little as Opie, and Hal Smith as Otis the town drunk, who was a sweet drunk. He was not a terrible person, you know. And of course Andy and Don were just terrific together. And I think it's a rare show that has the combination of two actors like those two, that they were just perfect together.
What particular, if any, episode stands out in your mind as your favorite?
I wish people wouldn't ask me that, because I loved so many of them. You know, it's very hard. But I loved the choir. I loved the part where Don, now this was Don's own idea. Well, let's see, which part was it? We the people of the United States, preamble, wasn't it?
Yes.
And where he said he knew it by heart, but Andy had to feed him every line. I mean, it was so funny. There's so many wonderful, funny things. They're touching things. When little Opie, the birds, when he killed the mother bird, and his daddy told him he'd have to take care of the babies now. He was responsible. And he did, and he loved them so he didn't want to give them up. And then his father said, well, you have to let them go. It reminded me of when I was a little girl, I saw a play called Claudia in Kansas City, Missouri, where I grew up, and Dorothy McGuire was the star. And in it, her mother found she was dying, and they found it hard to discuss this. And they were concerned how Claudia would react. And I remember the mother stood behind a couch looking at her daughter, and she said, we have to learn to hold close with open hands. And I always thought that was such a great line. It was really beautiful. And in a sense, that's what Andy was saying to him, I think, you know. Because at the end, the little birds flew up in the tree, and Andy said, but don't the trees look full and pretty, or something like that. I'm not quoting it quite right, I'm sure, but anyway, those are kind of tender scenes that they had too that I liked.
Well, thank you for stopping and talking to us this morning.
Charles. I hope it was all right.
It was great.
Okay.
All right, folks. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you've enjoyed getting to hear from Betty. Now, let me give you a little bit of background about her so that you'll just have a little bit more information. Betty was born Elizabeth Ann Theresa Lynn in Kansas City, Missouri. She was born on, I lost it. She was born on August 29th, 1926, and she began acting in radio. She was later discovered in a Broadway production and then signed with 20th Century Fox. And Betty made her film debut in 1948 film Setting Pretty opposite Robert Young. That same year, she appeared in The June Bride with Bette Davis, followed by roles in Mother as a Freshman in 1949, Cheaper by the Dozen in 1950, and Payment on Demand in 1951. In the 1953-54 television season, Betty was cast as June Wallace, the sister-in-law of Ray Bolger's character on the ABC sitcom Where's Raymond? After guest starring on several television series, Betty won the role of Thelma Lou on the Andy Griffith Show, and she portrayed that role regularly from 1961 until 1965, and made a final appearance as Thelma Lou on the Andy Griffith Show in one episode during the 6th season, which was 1965 and 66, that season, which is an episode that we don't talk a lot about, but because I hate that she came back married. Now, Betty will tell you, and we're going to get an interview with her directly, but she'll tell you that she made it up in her mind that she wasn't really married to anybody in that episode. That was just, she hired that guy to come with her to the reunion and pretend he was married to her. That's how she played the role, because that was the only way she could handle it, because she couldn't believe Thelma Lou would marry somebody other than Barney. Anyway, following the end of the Andy Griffith Show, Betty continued to appear on various television shows and in film roles. And in 1986, she reprised the role of Thelma Lou in the reunion television movie Return to Mayberry. That's the movie in which Thelma Lou and Barney Fife finally got married. In 2006, Betty Lynn retired from acting and relocated to Mount Airy, North Carolina, the hometown of Andy Griffith, and the town on which Mayberry is loosely based. Anyway, Betty continues to make monthly appearances at the Andy Griffith Museum in Mount Airy to sign autographs and meet with fans. And, of course, she'll be at Mayberry Days as well. So, folks, hey, if you haven't had a chance to meet Betty, it's a great chance. Make plans. Find out. There's a schedule at the Andy Griffith Museum, I believe, that tells you when Betty's going to be appearing. Now, there's been times like in July, Betty was not feeling well, and she wasn't able to make an appearance. But then recently, and as I'm recording this, it is 2011, she was surprised by the Andy Griffith Museum in mid-August of 2011 by a surprise birthday party they threw for her. So they had a party for her when she came to do the autographs and meet fans. So she's staying active, and boy, they're keeping her hopping in Mount Airy because, she's the local celebrity. Everybody wants to see Thelma Lou. And Betty has been so kind to me, and so it's just amazing. One year when Adam was a little boy, my son, she actually called him on his birthday and told him happy birthday. And, of course, my son, because of my doing Floyd and some of these things, he's always been around a lot of these cast members. So I think he's never quite understood why it's a big deal that Thelma Lou called him on his birthday before, or more than once. So anyway, folks, hey, I'm so glad to be able to bring you just that little bit of interview with Betty, and I'm just happy to be able to celebrate with you here on her birthday as I'm recording this, and just after her birthday, if you're listening to it the day it releases, or whenever you listen to it, we can celebrate just the career and life and love we've got for Betty Thelma Lou Lynn. Or her birth name here, which I didn't really know, was Elizabeth Ann Theresa Lynn. I didn't realize that. So, hey, I hope you enjoyed that. I'd love to hear from you. Maybe you could tell me some of your experiences meeting Betty, because every time you meet her, if she's signing autographs for you, she'll talk to you and enjoys visiting with you and wants to know about the fans and just appreciates so much meeting with you. So I'm sure many of you have experiences, and you can email them to me if you'd like at floyd@imayberry.com. You could also call them in at 888-684-8415, or you could drop a message over at facebook.com/2chairs or at twocairsnowaiting.com. Any of those places, you can leave me a message and just give some feedback and let me hear from you. Because I know, folks, we all enjoy hearing from each other and just knowing you're out there and hearing from other fans of the show, because it makes us all feel like we're just part of something, and we are. We're all part of this Mayberry experience. So, folks, hey, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for just spending a little bit of your week, a little bit of your day with me here in Mayberry, and we'll see you guys next week on Two Chairs No Waiting, your Mayberry podcast. Bye, folks.